Welcome back to Whimsy Crafter. I hope you all are doing great. I recently shifted with my orchids, and in today's video I'll guide you through the entire shifting procedure, what to expect, what I encountered, what complications arose and how I handled it. So here I am leaving my native home and heading for my in-laws place. So I have finally come up to the terrace at my in-laws place. Thankfully there hasn't been any mechanical damage to the plants, so I will shift them only when I kind of measure the light requirements of this particular terrace. Previously these orchids were in a different setup, so first I will use the technique that I have taught you in my previous videos to understand the lighting conditions of this particular setup. I have already set up an orchid on one of the mango trees that we have at my new home. I have already put up a video. I'll link it up in the I button. But as far as these orchids are concerned, I need to check the light requirements first, and only then I will install these orchids on this open air setup. This is a first for me. I'm very excited as well as apprehensive. I do not know how my hybrid Dendrobium plants are going to adapt to this change, so wish me luck. And I think they will adapt quite fine. All of the plants are mature right now, so stay tuned with me. Alright, so I had told you people a few days back that I have shifted with my orchids, and I have planned to kind of shift them to the open air setup at my new home. So here I am today with the setup. Let me just show you how I have set up the orchid plants. So I have made this makeshift suspension point from where I have suspended my orchid plants. So all these are my mature orchids, and obviously my foxtail orchid is hanging there on that branch on the mango tree. Yeah, it's growing quite well. I'll post the update video soon. But as far as my plants are concerned, the orchid plants are concerned, I examine them every day, and on one such routine examinations I noticed something that took my it came up like a nightmare to me. And I had expected something else, and something else turned up. These plants are hybrid Dendrobium plants. These are not species plants. So I thought they are sturdier, and they will manage better in the open air setup, especially when they are under the canopy of a tree, and they will manage better and they will respond better. But on a closer look, actually, I found something very, very unpleasant, and that discovery actually turned into a nightmare for me. So let's take a close look and see what exactly went wrong. If you see the base of the stems, you will see there is some yellowing and some blackening effect as well. So this particular plant over here that I'm holding in my hand, you see the cane has started rotting at the base. Okay, see how the cane is wobbling. It's a new cane. I was expecting a spike from this, but every year before the plants bloom, something or the other disastrously happens. So I have to save this plant somehow. I don't know if I will be able to at all save this plant, but I'll try my level best. So in order to save these two plants, I need to repot it. Okay, these two plants have been in this pot for 2 years now. You see there is an overgrowth of roots, and there's a plant growing from inside the media of the orchids. The media probably has become compact even when the media is inorganic media. The foxtail orchid is doing fine because it's a species orchid. Okay, it has the capacity to adapt to changes, because it is usually habituated to be out in the wild. But these plants over here, these are tissue cultured plants. These are imported from Thailand, and they are supposed to look robust and produce robust blooms, but when it comes to survival, I think they stand a very less chance against species orchids. So first of all, I need to kind of change the media, repot this plant, and see if I can get these back in shape. So I will guide you through the entire procedure. wherever I am not able to shoot a video, I will attach a picture or two so that you understand what I am doing, and if you face such a similar situation, you will know what step to take next, so stay tuned with me. So here I have taken a bucket filled with water, and I will use a capful of hydrogen peroxide in this water, and then I will dip the orchid pot in this bucket. I am using the hydrogen peroxide right now itself because later on I will have to sterilize the plant. So I am doing it right at the outset. Okay, so hydrogen peroxide will ensure all the pathogens that are present in the media, the pot, the plant's roots right now, they get killed. Okay, so just half a bucket of water and 1 to 2 capfuls of hydrogen peroxide. 1 capful is enough actually. It's quite potent. This is 6% hydrogen peroxide. I'll take the pot and I'll dip it inside the bucket. Dipping actually helps in many ways. Once orchid roots are, moistened, they become very, very flexible, and that will help me to remove the remove the roots from clinging into the terracotta pot. Alright. And the second thing is, dipping it in water will help me to kind of sterilize and disinfect the roots. And once the roots become drenched in water, they will turn green in color and the dead roots will become brown in color. So I will be able to identify which roots to remove and which to keep. Alright, it has been around 15-20 minutes. This is a big pot, that is why I had to keep it submerged for so long. And look at the water, it is already very, I don't think it's visible in the camera. It's very, very muddy and dirty. I don't know what has been, building up in this pot, but I have to do something about this plant. Alright, this is my first mature orchid. So now you see the roots are no longer white, they have become brownish. These are all dead roots. I have to get rid of these. So slowly, bit by bit, I will have to remove the roots from which are clinging onto the earthen pot. Alright, and I will do this off camera because this is a very lengthy process. It takes around 20 minutes to half an hour to get done with this process. The root is clinging onto the media. I have to get rid of the roots from the media also. So a lot of work, very difficult to keep you people glued to the screen through this boring process. So I'll just show you one or two instances of how I separate the roots from the media. You see, because the roots are wet, they are very easy to remove. And don't worry if 1 or 2 roots snap, it will happen. But ultimately this step is very necessary, otherwise you won't be able to, resurrect your orchid plants anymore. So slowly I will do this process and I'll come back to you after the entire plant has been successfully removed from the earthen pot. So stay with me. Okay, so here is the plant. This is the pot. You see there are some white marks in the pot, and that is the debris, the dirt. And these are the roots. See, even for orchids, see how dense the roots are. So again I am going to dip this particular root ball into water just for a moment and then slowly separate it with my finger. The growth of the plant actually became a bane for it instead of becoming a boon. The growth was so profuse that it became root bound in the pot so easily. It had no place to produce and shoot up new roots. So that is the reason. So I have done the entire process off camera. The washing part, the sterilizing part, everything. I'll attach a picture on the screen so that you can follow. A lot had to be done. The pot had to be cleaned thoroughly with water and then dipped in fungicide water. The plant had to be dipped in fungicide water and dried. The media had to be cleared, cleaned in proper water and then sterilized with fungicide, and then all these were dried. So this is the way the 2 plants looked when I removed most of the dead roots. You see this blue, blue marks on the spot. These blue marks are due to the fungicide that I use. Okay, I dipped the pot also in fungicide and then I let it dry. So the blue residue is from the fungicide. And in the picture over here, you can see how I dipped my orchid plant's roots in fungicide water as well. So all these steps need time. So you will need at least a day before you can repot the plant once again. I have sterilized the media also for my orchid pot. All these charcoal and brick pieces have been washed and then dipped in fungicide water. So it's there are a lot of steps actually. So I will show you the repotting of this orchid, the healthiest one that I have, alright, and the other one which has a wobbly cane, that one I will repot separately, and I'll share with you the results if I am able to kind of save it. So these are the roots. This is the middle portion where it had become infected, this portion right here. So it has been taken care of. Now I will repot this particular orchid. But because this orchid is quite big, this orchid is going to kind of take some stability. The orchid is going to need some stability, otherwise the orchid will not be able to survive. This is the other orchid plant that I have left with me. This is the cane that was wobbly. I cut it off and I potted it in a mixture of charcoal and brick, and for moisture there is some cocoa coir at the base of this cane. The cane is still healthy, as I can see over here. I don't know if this will survive, but I have tried my level best, and I'll share the updates with you people. Okay, just wish me luck so that I don't lose this plant that I have been taking care of for the past 2 years. It feels very bad when you lose out something you have cared for, isn't it? So there's just cocoa coir and not the coconut husk, just cocoa coir for moisture, and mainly the gaps in the pot have been filled with charcoal and brick pieces. All right. So this is a kind of an experiment. I keep experimenting, and whatever I learn, whatever successes and failures I get, I share with you. So I'll just hang this orchid in a shady part of my new home, and let's hope for the best and see whether I can sustain this particular plant. Anyway, as I was saying, the previous plant that I showed you, that needs some stability, because without stability the plant, because of the sheer weight of its foliage, will wobble out of the container. So first what I'll do is I will line the pot with some big pieces of charcoal and bricks like this. Alright. And for stability, what I have done is I had a piece of PVC pipe handy. I did not have any stick or bamboo cane or something of that sort, and using an inert support like PVC pipe actually helps. It does not rot. So I will use this stick for stabilizing the orchid. The stabilization procedure is very simple. You lodge the pipe into the media like this, hold it firmly, and fill in the gaps around the pipe with these big chunks of charcoal and brick pieces. So you do that a few times, you will see that the PVC pipe is standing on its own. You are not having to hold it, just like I have done over here. You see, it has been stabilized very easily. I will add some more media around it, and then I will place the orchid roots on one side of the PVC pipe, ensuring that the roots surround the media. You should not cover the orchid roots while repotting. Yes, you can put 1 or 2 pieces of media to fill the pockets here and there, to press down the orchid roots, but that's just about it. You should not cover the orchid roots, because orchid roots also respire and they also breathe. Okay, so this is just a fast forward clip showing how I went about with my potting. You have to pot your orchids. Whenever you're potting your orchids or repotting your orchids, this is the procedure you need to follow. Give it some stability and then leave some roots out in the open so that they remain exposed and they receive the sunlight. The last portion would be to tie the orchid plant stem to the PVC pipe for support. So I'll just go about it tightly. Yes, I think that is about it. And the extra pieces I'll just keep them aside or place it wherever I find gaps in the pot. So I'm almost done, filling up few more pockets here and there. And another important fact that you people need to remember is this setup has to be suspended, as in you have to hang it from some suspension point. Do not leave it on the ground like you do for other plants, alright, because orchid roots do well in air. They are epiphytes, and keeping them suspended actually helps them to dry faster. So I am almost done with my procedure over here. Now a few basic tips. I will be sharing them in a moment, but here is my setup. Again, I am telling you that I don't know if this will survive, but I have tried my level best. Now regarding the care of this particular plant after repotting, you will have to water this plant after 3 days, and the first watering has to be with fungicide water early in the morning. You have to spray the entire plant down, okay, including the roots, with the fungicide water, and then let it dry. And for the next 1 month, this plant has to be kept in indirect light. So this is the result after 2 weeks of keeping the plant under shade. Stay tuned for further updates.